Okay. So now I really quickly have to. Ba-da-doo, da-da-doo, da-da-doo. Okay, perfect. Here I am. All right, we're good. We're good. And hey. Oh, let me turn this down before it just starts going off like crazy. Um, okay. So now my phone is great. I have to pull the live chat up on my phone. Good morning. Well, for those of you who it's morning, Meg, I know for you it's morning. So good morning. And I see a couple other people are tuned in, just haven't said anything yet. Um, wow. Let me Cookielicious. Kuro-san, Beanza, hey you guys. It's so good to see you all. I feel like we haven't seen each other in a long time. Also, can you guys hear me well? Just want to make sure that the sound is good and everything. Um, but it genuinely feels like I haven't seen y'all in like a century. And I know that's not true because we were just live with each other two 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I don't remember. That's okay. Hi, Princess Ayaka. Nice to meet you. You say yes, we can. I just want to hear for myself. Okay, yeah. That'd be my anxiety sometimes. I'm like, can they hear me? But so I came prepared today in case my stomach starts to rumble while we're doing things. So just so y'all can see, I've got recommended by Suki in Discord some Premier Protein. This is cookies and cream. It's actually pretty good. And then I've got some by it's Wonder Water, Puna, coconut, pineapple. So these will be the things that I drink if I start to get hungry. So anyway, how are you guys doing? I think I'm still just gonna do what I normally do and have like a little bit of a delay before we get started, just in case others want to come in, but they're not coming like right on the dot. Um, yes, I can hear you fine. It's nice to meet you. I'm so excited for this. Yee! I'm super excited too. I was actually very nervous leading up to like this whole thing. For anyone else who may have anxiety, whether it's like a generalized anxiety disorder or just like sometimes have anxiety, which I would say a couple years ago in therapy, my therapist was like, I think you have generalized anxiety disorder. I think it's a lot less now, but this was definitely the perfect moment for it to come out. Because I kid you not, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing an art session. Nobody's gonna show up. I was like, I'm gonna be awkward sitting there by myself. So like for real, it's very, very nice to see you all here because you have assuaged my inner thoughts. So, um, I hope you guys are doing well today, though. I'm super duper excited to talk about today's subject and even give you guys examples. And for anyone who has never done it or has never heard of it, or heard of it but doesn't know exactly what it is, then I'm going to be more than happy to like share this with you. But this is not a session of like Mari teaching anything, at least not heavily. So if you all know something about neurographic art and you're like, ooh, I want to share something, by all means, please do so because this isn't, like I said, this isn't a live session of me teaching. This is more so of a live session of us exploring something together that I think is very beneficial for mental health and creative expression. Um, so let me see. Hey, welcome. Yes, we have snacks and safety behaviors. Yeah, I figured these would be the best snacks for me. I really don't need to have like munchy things so it doesn't get all over my paper. You can hear Was looking forward to this. You missed the last one. Well, that's okay. At least you have made it to the very first live art session, if that makes you feel any better. Happy dance. Excited for this. Awesome. So I've stalled for 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes is enough. Are you guys ready to get started, or do you think maybe we should wait 5 more minutes? I think I think we're good. So I'll just like take a sip of this and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is really good, by the way. Um, Growing up, I hated flavored water, and ultimately there are a lot I still dislike, but I really like Bai. They're very good. It's also low in calories and carbs for anyone who pays attention to that kind of stuff. So you've never done this type of art before, so some instruction would be greatly appreciated. Awesome. Well, yes, I'm gonna tell you guys how to do it, so we're gonna be a-okay. Um, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So we're talking about neurographic art. I'm going to tell you what the benefits of it is, what the benefits are. There we go. And then I'm gonna tell you like how to do it. So neurographic arts is one of these like art science things. And I know mixing those two words together isn't necessarily the most fun thing in the world. But in this case, you don't focus on the science. There's just science behind why it works and why it's good for you. But it's an art where you are basically creating without thinking deeply. You're not pulling from a reference. I mean, you can do that sometimes if you want, but you're not pulling from a reference. You're taking a pen, um, or a marker of some kind, and you are simply making lines on a paper. And then at all of the sharp angles, you are going to interconnect them. And the whole point of this art form is basically to free the mind of stress or transform your stress and other more negative emotions into something that can help you process them without even realizing that's what you're doing and to relieve those things. So for those of us, I see comments about having a GAD. For those of us who have anxiety or even people who have PTSD, CPTSD, this is actually very, very good for us because sometimes we may grab on to maladaptive coping mechanisms, which maladaptive basically means not good for us. So we may develop some bad coping mechanisms. Um, and then some things aren't necessarily bad, they just aren't the best or what we actually need. And this form is actually something that is very, very good. One of the things I love about neurographic arts is that it does not require artistic experience. So, literally, a beginner in art could do this. And it's one of those things where a beginner in art can do it and they can make something that looks extremely advanced. One of the things I like to say about all forms of more intuitive art is that everybody can do it. Anybody can do it, but not everyone will. So we are all artists, whether you're pulling from imagination or pulling from exactly what you see. So the neurographic arts, they don't require artistic experience. It's just one of those, let's just do what we do. We're not doing art to do something good looking to everybody else. Um, some of the benefits of it, aside from relieving stress, is that it does enhance intentional focus and mindfulness due to the concentration that's required from like making the lines, but also like changing the thickness of the lines and curving out all of the sharp edges, which again, I will show you. And it just has this like organic and continuous line pattern making that is believed to help the brain make connections that promote cognitive health. So, like I said, I also believe that this creates or it promotes creative imagination as well. And it gets you the chance to easily tap into flow state. For anyone who doesn't know what flow state is, that is basically the psychological zone when you completely immerse yourself into something. You are completely focused to the point where actions just kind of feel very free, very effortless, and everything else just kind of disappears. Um, and you're not thinking so hard about what am I going to do, what am I going to say, this or that. You're just in the zone. So, those are some of the benefits and just a little bit of information about it. At my job, actually, well, let me look at some of these comments really quickly. Totally understand. Yeah. Hey, Liz. It's been a trip. I feel you. Yeah. So, actually, when I was at my, well, not at my job, because my job is at home, but while I was working a couple of days ago, we actually received an email from someone with aphantasia. So I don't know if you guys, anyone here has aphantasia, or if you know someone who has aphantasia, but they felt very discouraged about signing up for one of our classes because they were like, it's talking about visualization and I don't see things up here. I only remember what, I know like an apple is shaped this way, or I remember that buildings are shaped like a large rectangle and maybe a triangle at the top. And so another thing that I love about neurographic arts is that it does not require visualization. Again, we are allowing the brain or just the hand to move wherever the brain tells it to go, rather than thinking about, oh, this is something that I want to draw. So for anyone who has aphantasia, I would say that neurographic arts is like amazing. Very, very amazing. So the last things I'll say, as far as neurographic art and getting you into the flow state, I think it's very good because number one, it quiets that inner critic we all have in our minds, because you're not thinking with the left side of the brain about doing something well, but you're just going with the flow. It enhances problem solving subconsciously, and it brings you a sense of intrinsic joy, intrinsic satisfaction, which is basically like doing things for personal reward rather than external reward. So, that's pretty much the breakdown on neurographic arts. If anyone else wants to chime in, because I know Liz has done it before. Um, Yes, yes, it enhances the neurographic experience. Brains are super fascinating. And I also think it's really cool. A lot of times, depending on the kind of neurographic art you make, sometimes it looks like well, not sometimes, a lot of times it looks like neurons or what we perceive them to look like. It's really, really amazing. And again, there is neurographic art and then neurographic art. So I'm actually going to switch my camera now so that I can give you guys some examples of neurographic art and then neurographic inspired art, which means I need to switch this. Okay. You said neurographic is actually used in therapy to cope with specific issues. Yep. A lot of art therapists use this. Um, so I'm gonna show you guys some of my earlier day art. When I first came across neurographic art, it was last year. So this was literally my very first attempt. And as you can see, I ended up adding color because I was also doing watercolor. So I had a whole bunch of random lines, and then I'm gonna bring this closer. In certain areas that had like sharp angles, I rounded them out, and as I was going, I was like, huh, I see some weird kind of like birdie chicken thing, and here's a beak. And so I decided to draw an eye in here, and then, made this a little bit more cohesive. And then this side, I took a brush and just like went over it to make it more droopy on this side and more vibrant on this side. And I think I called this one Releasing Dead Weight. And this was very important to me for whatever dead weight needed to be released a year ago. But here is like one of my beginner examples, and then finding something, finding a face within it. You said, I am shocked this hasn't been used with me. Only fine arts been used with me. I feel like when it comes to the arts, fine arts do get a lot more glory, um, than like the visual arts. So it's actually not surprising because I hadn't even heard of neurographic arts until last year. Until last year. So, you said that sounds amazing and freeing. Absolutely. Especially in the sense that it doesn't have to look like a certain way. Sounds like there's no pressure. Yes. And that's one of the things I love about it. It doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't have to create something. But why I said it increases your creative imagination is because when you look at it, you can start to see things yourself and then create it into something new. Like I saw a little weird bird looking mask here. So here's one where I did some and I didn't see anything. I just went with the flow. And so I actually didn't have a name for this, but bridge, I don't know, crossing the bridge is just what we're going to call it. I'm going to pull it up a little closer. There we go. But yeah, I drew circles and lines, and then when we get really really close, I drew some more smaller circles in this area. And so again, this is not something particular. Well, maybe y'all can see something. I don't know. But when I look at it just makes me feel good. Oh, shoot. Now that I'm looking at it, it's weird. I feel like I'm looking at the side back to someone, and like here's their face. This is like the brain, and then this is the hair, and this is the body. Okay. And it looks like lizard skin. Lovely. Yeah, I can see that. So this is another example. And then and I'm gonna show, I guess just so it could be seen, I'm gonna show you how to do it too. And then here's another one, which I saw some weird kind of birdie chicken with some funky hair coming out. Anyway, so this was fun. And I usually always put some kind of watercolor in mine. So now I'm going to show you a little bit of more neurographic inspired art when I started to just try to make things from like imagination, and letting the lines go wherever they go. You love the textures. Yee! Thank you. This. So, not necessarily neurographic art because I didn't necessarily round out all edges and everything like that, but it was inspired from this. And this was not a reference image of any kind. I was just like, well, I know a human kind of looks like this and we have shadows. And I'm trying to remember what this one was called. Letting go of the noise. Yeah, that's what this was. I had a lot of inner battles last year in which I was hearing voices that weren't my own, voices of others, like my biological mother or my stepfather saying certain things to me that just really negatively affected me. And so this was letting go of the noise. Get closer in there so you can like see all those lines. So, okay, yeah, so that's it for that. And then just a couple more examples. I did something recently. One second, if I can find it. Okay, so more neurographic inspired art. This started as just regular neurographics. I was filling in all of the sharp angles, and then next thing you know, I saw a face and then gave it a crown of roses. So there's this. And then here's another version where I did a whole bunch of lines and then I was like, I see a face. I was trying so hard not to see a face. I always see faces in my neurographic art. So I think like what you see in your neurographic arts says a lot about you, and what you are drawn to. But I also saw a bird. So it's like a bird mask, I guess. You said you're loving tracing the lines across the paper and colors. Yes. And so I think that's it for what's in here. I'm actually going to be working out of this. Oh, I started working on something else, but I haven't finished it. Um, so when I say that I think it's great for creative imagination and promoting it because you're just constantly making lines and just seeing where it takes you. So a perfect example of that would be, so this is not neurographic art, but more so the result of neurographic art. Oh, here's another one. I forgot about that piece. Is it not in this one? Actually, no, it's not. It's in here. This. This is it's a flower with a person on the inside. Who knows? I don't know. But this is probably something I wouldn't have been able to create had I not started doing neurographic art because I literally just started drawing lines. At first I put paint down actually, and then I just drew lines and was like, "Ooh, I see something." Should I start with pencil or go right in with pen? Pen, because when you go in with pencil, you're going to have the desire to fix something, and there's nothing to fix. So I personally always use pen or marker. I've never used pencil, but you are absolutely more than welcome to use pencil if you want, if you don't have a pen. And again, you don't need any like special kind of pen. You just need something that writes. You could literally use a highlighter. Here's another instance in which I did not do neurographic art, but I just drew lines to see where things would go. And then I ended up creating something out of that. Um, and then the last example, hold on, crap, where is it? This, my plant world. I have no idea what this world is, but it's something. So again, it inspires you to be creative and just sometimes draw lines wherever you want them to go and then create something out of that. So now I'm going to, do I want to use this? Because I'm going to have to like flatten this out a little bit more. I'm not skipping a page. I am skipping pages. Huh? Is this upside down also? Oh, yeah. More, I guess I had more no graphic art in here than I thought. Okay, so now I have a blank page and we're gonna get started. But let me make sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, start with pen. All you need is pen and paper. It doesn't matter what kind of paper. It could be printer paper, sketchbook paper, watercolor paper. This is cotton, I think, but it's definitely not watercolor paper, even though I defy the rules and still use watercolor on it anyway. Um, Literally any kind of paper. Doesn't matter. Da, 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 da. Very Alice in Wonderlandy. Were you talking crap? I don't remember which one. Oh shoot, there was another one. I think Suki called this my watermelon warrior, or somebody did. It was. I thought that was funny. Um, you said you're a perfectionist and you will feel compelled to fix. So then use a pen. I am going to encourage you to use a pen. Yes, that's why you should use a pen. Don't treat it as a whole, but rather flow with the process. Yep. The result is not important. This is one of those things where the process is the most important thing. And then you can look back on the results and be like, holy crap, oh my gosh. So I am going to take a scrap piece of paper really quickly just to make sure, because I don't want to do it on here, that it is 100% clear what we're doing. Do I need to move this down? Hold on. Excuse my noises. Okay, so I am about to show you really quickly, and I'm going to use a thicker marker just so it's really, really easy to see what you're going to do. So also your lines can be like squiggly, they could be more angular, they could be flowy. It doesn't matter what the lines look like as long as they connect. So, what you're going to be doing is from these examples that I just did, and let's see if I can zoom in just like a tiny bit more. But I might have to do it from my, yeah, I think I did it. Who knows? Okay, so like right here, we have an angle. So all you're going to do is take your pen or your marker and you're just going to round it out to make it less sharp. Can y'all see that? I'm going to try to make it, uh, wait, what am I? Oh, that's why that wasn't working. I was like, why isn't it zooming in? Because I was zooming in the camera of me, which is no longer on the screen. One second, you guys. Boom. There we go. Yeah, so like here I rounded it out. Here's another corner. You're just going to round it out. And basically, sharp corners represent like anxiety, danger, stress, and we're softening those edges is what we're doing. And then another thing, which it's psychological because once you do that, you're going to look at the line and feel like it's a bit thicker. And then you're going to want to go over like that line again just so it matches with what you filled in. And that's perfectly fine as well. So sometimes it could be a very long process, especially if you're using like really small markers. But yeah, you just want to round out all of the angles that you see for connecting lines, but you can also do it where there aren't lines connecting, but you just see like a very sharp edge. So that's what you want to do. Do not pay attention to this mess because this is where my example was. Um, okay, so let me see. Just making sure I didn't miss any comments. Alice in Wonderland. Oh, for the rose face. Got it. Yes, or the face with the roses. I could totally see that. Mm, you're thinking of using a black canvas on your iPad, but will not undo anything. I think a black canvas would be really, really cool. And using what, like white pen or a different color? Another bright color. You said, but I will not undo anything and doodle around. Don't want to get up and look for the paper. That's fine. The neurographic arts is something that could be done also on a laptop. I mean, an iPad and other portable devices. Okay, so I'm gonna move this out of the way. I got Sharpie marks on my desk. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab my book back and we're gonna get started. So at this point, now we could just like chat with each other or anything. Um, OBS camera. There we go. And if anyone has any questions about this or anything else, it really doesn't matter. I am open to chatting with you guys. But let's get started. I personally really like thin lines. And I can't use my Sharpie markers in this because it'll bleed through. That happened once with the drawing I was doing, and I had to find a way to like mask it. So I've got an 8 right here. What's on the other side? Okay, it doesn't matter. Also, I don't know if you guys would be able to hear like the sound of my pen, or the sound even of yours. You can hear the sound of yours, but it's very relaxing. And a lot of people usually use lines and circles, but you can also use other shapes as well. You don't have to like stick to any rules or anything like that. The other thing that I encourage you all to do is, I mean, you don't have to, but start with just like a couple of lines first, depending on how you like a process to go, and then fill in the angles and then add another line, fill in those angles. Unless you're one of those people that wants to do a bunch of lines and then try to find all of the angles all at once, it's going to be a lot of work, but that is something that could be very rewarding. You said, but the thing with working digitally is that people tend to automize the rounding of the corners, but that's the most important part. Ah, that is something I did not know, as I have never done digital art in my life. The most digital art I've done is taking a picture of something I was doing, and if I had an idea, I would like draw over it to see if I liked that idea and then erase it. So if that's something that can be turned off, then doing this on your mobile device is okay. Because this part, like Liz said, is very, very important. You need to round those edges yourself. Mm. Yes, love. I'm in a live session. Okay. I'm just making sure you don't come in naked or something crazy. Even though they wouldn't see you because the camera's on my artwork. Yeah. You are the artwork. Oh, come on in. Let me just switch the camera. I'm sorry, you guys. Hmm. You said, understood, this brush has zero stabilization. The rounding of the corners is the psychological part. It smooths and rewires. Yep. Yep. That's why I said the hard angles represent our stresses, our anxieties, and any of those negative emotions. And the rounding of the edges, smoothing that out is like smoothing away whatever those feelings are. So I don't know what the digital terms are. You just mentioned zero stabilization. Is that a good thing? Does that mean it won't round the edges for you? Also, I just want to like give a shout out to anyone who does digital art because I don't know how y'all do it. When I look at some of the time lapses, I get so confused, but in like the best way possible. And I'm like, whoa, that looks so good. And sometimes when I'm really tired, but I still want to create something, or maybe I have no choice but to stay awake, um, I like to do neurographic art because my mind doesn't have to think hard about anything. Also, sorry sometimes if I just go quiet because I mean, I'm not gonna talk just to talk. I think the other thing, I don't know if I mentioned, but um, doing neurographic art is putting yourself into a state of meditation. A lot of people still to this day think meditation is like about emptying your mind and going om and stuff like that, which I suppose it could be, but it's less about emptying your mind and more about focusing on one thing very intently. So, like, even people who bowl, like my husband tells me he goes into a very meditative state when he goes bowling because you're doing the same thing over and over again. It's the same goal over and over again, even if, the pins might have different formations if you don't just get a strike right away. Um, so, yeah, meditation is just about focus. And sometimes that might empty your mind. Sometimes it might fill it. Neurographics actually works on the physically neurological level. It creates new neural pathways and can change existing ones. It's been medically tested using functional MRI. Yes, let's go. There was this book I read. Um, I'm trying to remember the author. Give me one moment. Because it was more than one. Your Brain on Art: How the Arts Transform Us by Ivy Ross and Susan Maximin. Wonderful, wonderful read. And it goes into detail so much on how all forms of art actually help improve mental health and even physical health. And the book is wonderful because, like I said, it talks about all the arts. So there are sections where it's talking about music and singing, another where it's talking about playing the piano or another instrument, another, where it's talking about drawing or painting. And it's just such a wonderful read. And it's so nice to see evidence backing up what we've been loving all along. I don't know what it's like for you guys, especially anyone like outside of America. But here in America, all of the money in schools went to sports, 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 sports. And there was less funding, or we had to do more fundraisers in the arts departments if we wanted to travel somewhere. Um, because science said that art was not that important. And now science is saying that actually it just might be. Oh my gosh. I was like, yeah, it's very important. It's very beneficial. Mm. I think I might want to thicken some of my lines. Um, Liz, because I know that you've done neurographic arts, do you prefer to work usually with bigger lines or smaller lines? Or I should say also like bigger pin marks or thinner? Because a lot of times I find myself like wanting to use smaller pens, which makes the process so long. Also, I forgot one thing. I forgot to show you guys um, my most recent neurographic art. When I finished it, the drawing, I was like, I see flowers. So here's my most recent one. There's a flower going off the page, some kind of rose here, some weird flower there. I don't know. And then all of the branches behind it and underneath it. It depends on the mood. You usually start with larger lines and then add the thinner ones. If I worked on my watercolor paper, I could start with larger lines, but this book, um, the Sharpie bleeds through, so I can't use My really fat one. um, was it science that said the arts weren't important, or was it people who didn't want to listen to the science? Science. Well, I would say there wasn't necessary. I don't think there were people who weren't listening to the science back then because there was no science. There wasn't a lot of science really to support the arts back in the day. Um, Let me move this out of the way now. But I would say maybe sometimes it wasn't about the science and more so just about people looking at results. You know, if someone is really, really good at sports, then they're going to get this amazing scholarship. They can go pro, blah, blah, blah. Whereas with the arts, it was kind of like, oh, that's just a hobby, you know, unfortunately. Um, Thank you for explaining meditation. It has many forms and ways of doing it. I've always struggled with the traditional way of meditation, like doing the with focus and breathing. Absolutely. For the longest time, I actually thought that I was bad at meditation because I was like, I can't empty my mind. Like, I have no idea how to do that, you know? And for women, that is something that could be very difficult, like emptying our mind out. There's so many things to think about. Or for people who have, anxiety disorders and stuff, it's really hard to just empty our minds and not think about things. And then I was doing research and everything and realized, oh, shouldn't be trying to empty my mind. If anything, I probably should be trying to fill it with the same thing over and over and over again. I was like, I've been meditating all my life. Every time I record music, I would go into a meditative state. Well, not every time, but most times. You just wanted to listen to sports ball. Oh, thank you. The colors. Yes, I was like, whoa, with that one. I had a lot of fun with it. Just put some scrap paper underneath. That's potentially a chance. I just don't know if it would still bleed through the scrap paper, and I would probably have to get some scrap watercolor paper. Let me let me see. Uh, there's not enough science to listen to. Yeah, a general public. You did all the rounding. Yay! Man, I really wish I could see what you guys were creating. Uh, I can't. That's alrighty. But I'm so happy. So, are you going to add more lines or are you just going to stick with what you've got? So, I'm actually going to let's try this out. Oh, wait. Actually, no, it still doesn't matter. Oh, Liz. Okay, so it still doesn't matter because it's going to bleed through to the other side of the page. So, not necessarily bleed to like the next page over, but it still bleeds onto the previous art. That's what that was. That's why I wasn't using my sad face. Yes, upload it to Discord when you're done. Okay. Yes. I would love to see what all of you guys create in Discord. I'm also thinking of, well, since I started making this line big, well, I'm going to improvise and I'll just have to continuously fill it in. I was thinking about possibly doing like Zoom sessions, probably making that more so of a Patreon thing. Um, but we could do Zoom sessions together because I have Zoom now. And I mean, you could be on camera or off camera, but we could like see each other and see each other's artwork and stuff in real time, ask questions in real time about something. Damn, you're reasonable and use both sides of the paper. Well, see, here's the thing. Money. Money will make you use both sides of the paper, which I'll be honest and say, like for watercolor, when I first started, I was only using one side and then that was it. And for the most part, I still do. But I'm like, if I'm ever in a pinch and can't afford more watercolor paper, flip it over. Don't look at this, but use the back. Flip it over, use the back. And that's how we save money, you guys. Alrighty. So now I just made a bigger line. That's what I get for putting my big Sharpie on here. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, about the Zoom sessions. I just thought that would be a really fun, cool way for us to connect without it being like literally just my voice or my camera, but so we can see each other's artwork, encourage each other, and for those who might be experienced in a specific thing, if someone has a question, they could be like, oh my gosh, look at this. I'm trying to accomplish this, but I don't know how. And then boom, we can do that. Listening to the stream, but not participating. That's okay. Trying to finish crocheting something for your sister for her birthday. Nice. I am having a good day. How are you? It's 11:16 a.m. for me. This is very relaxing and fun to do. I'm enjoying myself. I'm so glad to hear that. It's very, very relaxing. Sometimes it could also help you calm your mind and get ready for sleep. You know, there was a time, actually, I think it was this week when I was working, but I couldn't sleep yet because I was moderating an art class. And so I just did this until it was over. And then by the end, I was like, after I clocked out. Alrighty. I'm trying to see if there are other lines that maybe I want to thicken, which since I thickened this one, now I'll need to go back and handle all of the sharp edges again. Yep, there we go. Also, you guys are more than welcome to add color to this, like once you're done, um, for whatever medium you use. It could be watercolor, it could be color pencil, it could be uh, other mediums that my brain can't think of, pastel, crayons, whatever the case may be. Maybe it'll cure the Zoom associated traumas. Oh no, you have Zoom trauma? Maybe. I mean, because you always have the option to keep your camera off. But if you are so emboldened to come and show yourself, that would be awesome. I've had to get used to it because of my job as a moderator. And I'm gonna have to, like, the way I handle Zoom and also doing like live sessions with you guys has really, really helped me to gain confidence in being like a facilitator. And now I actually I work with this renowned watercolor artist. She has a mentorship that I facilitate, and she offered me to join this Patriot Art Foundation in which they do arts with veterans. And I am in July, I'm going to be a facilitator. Like, I shadowed everyone recently and even got to facilitate a class because a lady said she was going to be absent and she was like, "You want to facilitate it?" And I was like, "Sure." But I'm going to be doing that here shortly. I think mid next month. And I'm super duper excited about it because I mean, the arts, like I said, are just so helpful. But these are for veterans. They don't have to have PTSD, but of course, a lot of them do have PTSD. And so, helping them see how art can help them through that is going to be very, very fulfilling. Um, in the session that I did, one of the ladies there, I actually explained neurographic arts to them. And next thing you know, she was crying. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I was like, what did I say? I'm so sorry. And she was like, no, these are good tears. And she was just telling me that she was having like certain cognitive issues, um, because of everything. And that she felt like this was exactly what she needed. And by the end, I saw her art and it was so freaking beautiful. And so, um, I'm excited about that. It's like I always want to find ways to give back to people or to help people in everything that I do. Yeah, distant learning for kids and work meetings during COVID. Oh, oh yeah. I know that that was a hard time for a lot of people. Congrats. Thank you. I think there might be other lines that I want to make thick. Also, when I get to a point where I'm wondering if I want to see something specific inside of my art, I'll flip the art around. So, like, if I don't see anything in this direction, which I do, then I'll turn it to the side to see if I see something, which I also do. I'll turn it upside down, see if I see something different. Still do, and turn it just basically all four ways to see what I see. And sometimes it's just fun to do that just to see. And then other times it's fun to do that if I want to start filling something in. I don't always like to fill it in because if I focus on the one thing that I see, then it could potentially take away all of the other things that I saw within the art. But just letting you know that that is an option. Because, like, right now, I see like a profile of a person's face. Like here's the forehead. It's a weird proportion, but the eye and the nose. And then it's coming down. But then of course, when I turned it this way, for some reason, I don't know why I saw like a butterfly wing. Um, whatever. Who knows? I'm wondering if I wanna okay. I think I'm gonna go with my gut. And so, of course, in neurographic art, it's it can be a mindless or thoughtless thing. I think that's the word I'm looking for, but it can also be very intentional as well. I want to hear it. Can y'all? Very intentional. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to see if you guys can hear the scratching of my pen. No? Okay, my noise gate is up pretty nicely then. Mm, it kind of looks like a flowery meadow. Hmm. When I have it facing this way, or probably this way, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Hmm. I want another. Let me see if I can. Yeah, okay. That's what we're gonna do. Today is my godson's birthday, and he was supposed to be going out of town for a family reunion. So that's why I scheduled this session. Only for his mother to call me yesterday and be like, yeah, so we're not going anymore. I was like, oh my God, why? And so things are supposed to be happening today. What those things are, she'll tell me. Um, but I know they're not awake yet, or if they are, they're just getting the day started. So I was like, all right, so I'm not missing anything on his actual birthday. Wishing a happy birthday to him. Thank you. He is, shoot, what is he, 4 now? Or 5? I don't know. Time just goes now. I think he's turning, yeah, he's 5. I don't know why. If he could just stay a little baby forever, that would be nice. I honestly and truly recommend trying to avoid interpretation during the process because it directs the flow to a specific direction and effectively blocks the other paths. Yeah, I think sometimes it's okay. And then other times you just need to let what happens happen. And sometimes it's not even about trying to, sometimes the brain just sees things anyway. But absolutely. Oops, I was supposed to connect there. But that's why I also mentioned, what was it? Neurographic inspired art. That's when it goes more into the interpretation. So, like, it starts as neurographic and then it transforms into something else, which is also intrinsically rewarding. So, in this session, I would say don't focus on, like, oh, this is what I see. I mean, if you see something, that's still cool. But yeah, don't focus on trying to see something. Just go with the flow, and then you can see what you see at the end. But in the future, like if it's not your first time doing it anymore, in the future, if you want to start off with neurographics and then let it transform during the process, I think that's cool. I think I'm gonna put more circles. I usually don't even put circles inside of mine, focusing more so on lines, but big circle. There we go. I'm super happy because this week during an operations team meetup with my boss, which it's usually more of our team, but it was just me and her. I presented her with an idea that I was really nervous about. I had sent her a proposal, but she's super busy, so she didn't have time to read it. Um, and she was like, yeah, we could talk about it now. And so I shared my idea with her, which basically I'm wanting to bring more intuitive and even therapeutic arts onto our platform. And she loved it. And she was like, okay, instead of doing this as an event, draft up some ideas about how we could just turn this into a membership. And I was like, oh, gasp. But I was super nervous about it because I thought since it was so different from what we do, that the answer would be no, or that maybe she would not like the idea. But turns out she loved it and was like, see if you can get so and so on board because I think this would be an exceptional idea. So that made me happy. Now just putting membership ideas together. Is doing circles okay? For the first time, I found myself just adding them as I went. Yes, everything is okay. If you want to do circles, do circles. If you want to do squares, I mean, a lot of people usually do just lines and circles, but if you want to do a square, do a square. I'm not going to put a square in here because I feel like that might throw off my particular thing. But yeah, any shape will do, but it is very important that you have your lines in there. I think I want to start like filling in lines just like inside. I don't know if I can zoom in. Hold on. Because I don't want to add any more lines into like the main structure of what I've done. So I'm going to start adding lines in like the inside of things. It's going to be so difficult to try to find all of the lines inside of the smaller sections. I might not even worry about that, to be honest. I don't know. Oops. I don't even know if that was on camera. Okay, yeah, it is. Everything goes circles, spirals, triangled, whatever. Yep. Let me go back to, nope, it wasn't in here. Was it in here? Crap, I swear I can never find anything nowadays. I have too many. Well, you can never have too many. So yeah, here we go. If you didn't see this earlier, here's I ended up turning this into something. So this is neurographic inspired, but there are triangles and circles. That was my main shape. So, and then there were my lines. My watermelon warrior. Yeah, I guess I would say with neurographic arts, there are no rules. The only rule ish is basically to make sure that you curve out those sharp edges because that's an important part of the process. I think that ooh was to my watermelon warrior. And again, the more lines you add, the more difficult it's going to be to, or the more tedious. I won't say difficult, but the more tedious it will be to curve out all of those lines. So if you miss some, I mean, it's whatever. Eh, That microphone is bending. Okay, there we go. I've also seen people who they've done neurographic art inside of something. Like, for example, maybe they drew the outline of a person's head and then did the neurographic art inside of the head, or they drew a flower, just the outline, again, not the actual flower, and then they did the line work on the inside. I thought that was very interesting. I'm gonna need my smaller. Okay. You said that sounds so interesting and neat. Yeah, it's something I haven't tried myself yet. I think because my brain just is like, oh my gosh, what if I'm trying, but I still end up like attempting to outline like the face and the eyes and stuff, which is okay. But I just gotta try it and see how it feels. In intuitive art, there's no such thing as right or wrong. Thank you, Liz. Neither are concepts of pretty or not pretty. It is self expression, and the viewers can either connect to it or not. Yep, yep. Um, I love that statement, and I've been saying a lot lately that the beauty in art is an honest expression. So when people are looking for what's good looking. If it's coming from your heart, in my personal opinion, there's great beauty in that. And art is subjective. So, like, some people might look at something and they don't see the appeal. That's perfectly fine. They don't have to. What matters most first is the individual who created the art, and then I guess the people that they share it with. But as long as you get your piece, your emotions out, and everything first, then that is the most important thing. Because even some of the best musicians or songs out there are still going to be people who don't like them, slash, who do. And I know that's just like the society we live in is built on validation and approval from everyone for everything that we do. And so we're always worried about making things that other people will like. And then we tend to forget about just making something that makes us happy, that we like. I think my tipped ink pen is too thick. What do you mean? No, you can use a writing pen. Here, I'm just going to move away from this for a moment and use a writing pen. Okay? So I guess I'm starting over, if you will, or I'm putting this down for a moment. Here's a regular writing pen. It's Bic, BIC, that brand. Um, Here we go. And I don't usually work with triangles and stuff. I was trying to that other day. So let me just try with some more angular shapes anyway. Angular shapes and lines. Here's a regular pen. I think, oh, you need something thinner for more details. Ah, yeah. Or you can or you can thicken the current lines you have. And then when you just use it regular, then those lines will appear thinner, which is what I had to do in this one. Um, oops, because I don't have a thicker pen, I had to go through this line and then fill it in since I didn't have one. Or you could just like leave the one alone that you have already, and then when you have a chance, you can go out and buy some 0.75, 0.5, whatever gel pens and whatever pen you use, and then come back to it later. The art's not gonna go anywhere. At least I don't think. But yeah, here's a regular pen, which has a lot of ink in it, but you said, I think I'm suffering from too much syndrome right now. Too much syndrome. Oh gosh. That's okay. Glad I took a picture of it before I went too far. I don't know, maybe it didn't go too far. I think too much syndrome is perfectly fine in visual arts and other arts. Like, in my opinion, as a singer songwriter, one of the things I did all the time was do too much. And then we would come back to the drawing board and see what needed to be eliminated. And most times My husband was like, "Yeah, no, this is fine. I made it work. This is just how I'm gonna mix it so that it's not like too overwhelming." Although some things I guess needed to be overwhelming depending on what the messaging was. I don't, I actually don't want to do this. I'm gonna go back to what I was working on since I understood what you were saying. Um, you said, "Thank you. This is a nice experience. I'm learning so much." Yay! I'm glad to hear that. And I'm grateful also for the little nuggets that Liz has been dropping in the comments as well. You said, "That's, in my opinion, makes the great artist great. They manage to convey their own emotions and concepts to a wide variety of people and or evoke emotion and thought in the viewer." Yes. And sometimes that emotion or thought might be like bad. But I think even then, you still got something good going for you if you invoked an emotion in them that's just like, oh my God, like, what is this? Okay, I'm at least gonna put some more squares in this, and then I'm gonna come back to this later because I don't like going from one thing to the next. I don't even know why I started to do that. So I will finish this at some other point, and we'll see what comes out of that. Coming back to my baby. But no pen, no eraser. Yep, that's the beauty of it. No pen, no eraser, because you didn't do anything wrong. What is there to fix? So might as well just use a pen. Be strong, Meg. You can do it. Jayo, jayo, jayo. For anyone who doesn't know, that is how you say you can do it in Mandarin. It means to add oil, by the way. Like jia is to add, and yo is oil. So you said, "This is awesome so far. I'm just so not used to this medium and style." Well, it's something that is very easily get used toable. Are those words? Bad emotions are also relatable. Yup. All emotions have their own place. No, exactly. Also, I started filling in my lines for this. Okay. Yeah. I need to get back to it. Yeah. And I find that a lot of times I like art that is like, oh, I can't look at this. I can't look away. You know, that's the best art. But yeah, Meg, I'm sure whatever you did was absolutely fine and not too much at all. But even if there was a line for it to be too much, it still doesn't matter because this isn't about too much or too little. This is about relaxing, having fun, meditating, relieving stress, um, learning to tap into your flow state. So it's fine. Yeah. I just recently started doing this weird thing where I like turn the pen to the side so that the lines are thinner and a little more choppy, or just like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's fun. There's just ink blotches everywhere. Bleeding. Well, now I need to see this. Train wreck or art. Not possible to look away. Train wrecks are art. Yes. It's like, this is disturbing. My eyes. Yeah. But yeah, Meg, I can't wait to see what you did. I can't wait to see what all of you have done. For those of you who are in Discord, you can put it there in our original art channel. And for anyone who's just solely on YouTube, you can put it in the community. Um, Unfortunately, YouTube does not notify me. So I'll just be looking over the next couple of days to see if anyone puts anything there. Apparently now there's a such thing as direct messaging on YouTube, but they just notified me like right before the live, and I was like, "Oh God, I don't know if I like this." I said people already direct message me on Patreon, on Discord, on Instagram. I don't need another platform for it. It's okay. That's okay though. That is perfectly fine. It's coming together. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Okay. Okay. This will actually be my first time in a while during doing um, straight up neurographic art because lately I had been doing more neurographic inspired art. That's starting with neurographic and then being like, can I see something? Okay, let me go with that. I think I saw comments come in. I'm going to look in a second. Eh, 'Cause I've got a golden ticket. I've got a golden chance to make my way. And with the golden ticket is a golden day. You said, is there? Yeah, it just let me know. So like it told me that like Suki and Meg also have it now too, apparently. I was like, why are you telling me specific people have it? I was like, I have so many subscribers. Don't just start bombarding me like, hey, this person, this person, this person, this person has it now. I'm like, oh my God. Please, please don't do that to me. Admit it, Mari. You love us. We can bug you on YouTube too. Yes, you can bug me on YouTube. You think you need to stop touching it. Okay, then stop. If you feel that way, then stop. Yes. Stop touching it and then move on to another one if you want. Try something different that you didn't do the first time. I do love you guys. I love you all so much. And yeah, actually, I just received a message from someone yesterday, and Instagram was like, someone wants to message you, accept or deny. And it was somebody reaching out. Well, I don't know if they were on YouTube or Patreon or not, but if they weren't, they're going to be on Patreon because they want to read SVSSS. And they were like, oh my gosh, thanks for answering my message. And I was like, yeah, I'm not a celebrity. I've, I'm going to answer these messages when people send me messages, you know? Like within reason. If someone's like stalking me or spamming me, then obviously I won't. But I try to answer all private messages that people send because you guys are usually just like so nice and kind and loving. So, or sending me very inappropriate memes. I won't say who. Okay, and now to soften the edges in here. Oopsie. As I had said, it couldn't be done, but it could be done. I never dreamed that I would climb over the board in ecstasy, but nevertheless, it's not today. Cause I gotta go to take it. Golden ticket. I've got a golden ticket. I've got a golden chance to make my way. And with the golden ticket is a golden day. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I'm not even sure if I'm getting them all in here, but that's all right. You said Mari. What was the first ever Danmei you read? The first ever Danmei I read was MDZS, the official translation. Because I think by the time I started, yeah, that was all out. What was the first one you ever read? It is interesting too, though, because I greatly enjoyed I watched the C drama first and then found out it was a series, a novel series. And I was like, oh, so there were definitely aspects about the book that I liked more, but I do just like how the show, as far as the timeline was, it wasn't hopping back and forth like the books were. I'm not really a fan of that, the hopping back and forth. Because like if something crazy happens, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? And then boom, switch to another scene, going back in time. I'm like, I just want to know what happens next. MDCS. Yeah. So, I want these memes too. If it's who I think it is, that's Cynthia. I want. Yes, it is exactly who you think it is sending me these inappropriate memes and Instagram videos. Like, girl. Yes, just tell her that you want in. Maybe we could have a group um chat on Instagram just for those. Because I'll be like, girl, what are you sending me? This eye candy. I love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Is the soundtrack for the day. Yeah. Yes, I absolutely adore Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Do not talk to me about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's all about Willy Wonka. Like, I like Johnny Depp. He's cool. That's fine. But nothing, in my opinion, it beats the original. Did I soften all the edges here? Yes. And in here? Yes. In here? No? Okay. Yesterday, um, well, he wasn't listening, which is fine because he wasn't even in the room, but I gave my husband and any in imaginary audience a whole Cheetah Girls concert. I just was playing the Cheetah Girls 2 album and singing it in the kitchen while I was cooking and dancing with the broom as my mic sometimes because you know, you just gotta bust out into random song every now and then and live and let live, you know? So I know sometimes my husband's probably like, okay, she must have like had a super energy drink today because I just like go crazy. I'm like, concert time. And the first ever audio drama Danme I ever heard was a clip I found of Thousand Autumns, which led me to MDZS and all its adaptations. Oh yeah, I love Thousand Autumns. Do not get me started. I think by this point, everybody on my channel should know how I feel, unless someone's brand new. But Thousand Autumns is one of my number one favorite Danmei series. I actually started with Word of Honor, um, and then The Untamed, and then I read um, MDZS. I think after that it was Thousand Autumns, and then SVSSS, and then TGCF. And was it Arha next? I think. Yeah, and then I started reading Yubu and decided to wait until all the books were released. You'll definitely ask her. Yeah, Yanni, my baby. I love seeing the fan art that you guys do um, on Discord because I don't do that kind of art. Like Danme art, Danme fan art. It's just not something I'm interested in, and it's not something that speaks to me personally. And so I love to see other people that do it because I'm like, I don't know how y'all doing that, but it's amazing. Oop, I saw a comment come in. Give me just a moment. You're listening to Mari's reading Thousand Autumns book 4. Oh shoot. Almost at the end. 5 more chapters. I'm wishing you the best because you're almost done with the series. I hope you've been enjoying it thus far. It's one of my favorite Danmei because of well, because of Yan Wushi, really, and the complexities of his character, but also the raw honesty of his character that so many people apparently still miss. How? I do not know, but Also, just like the psychological aspect behind it of like how Shun Xiao would end up with Yan Wushi, a lot of people do not understand it. Um, and I think it shows like this is not an insult to anyone, by the way, but I think it does show some maturity and understanding the psychology of the human mind to know why he ended up with him. Like it's definitely okay for people that don't understand, but when people do, I'm like, yes, come on. Come. But no, in reality, I probably would not end up with Yan Wushi if I was Shunxia. But I get it. I get it. Actually, no, I probably would still end up with him because he'd probably just use his demonic persuasion on me. And then I'd be a lost cause. Wait, I was supposed to be reading a comment. Yenny, my love, I miss you. I don't know why seeing the words just makes me think about Hannah Montana's I miss you. I miss your smile. But I still shed a tear every once in a while. And even though it's different now, you're still here somehow. My heart won't let you go, and I need you to know I miss you. Sha la la la, miss you. I guess I'm in my Disney kick because I definitely also listened to the High School Musical 2 album and sang through all of that as well. So he said, yes, I am. It's how I found your channel. I'm so glad I did. I plan on listening to the other books you've done. Not sure which series I should listen to next. Do you have any specific thing you're in the mood for before I or anyone else gives any recommendations? Like any dynamic or like time frame, like cultivation, I mean, ancient Chinese or like modern, etc. Okay. Um, I feel like more lines need to be here. So let's just go ahead and at least add 2 more. There we go. It was just feeling a little empty. And then it's funny because I'm curving out like the edges in mine in these small spots, but they kind of still look sharp just because the pen is so fine. But I know that I'm curving them out, and so it's still very satisfying. I'm also kind of just like scratching the paper instead of like making full legit lines, but I want to, so that's what I'm doing. You went from you to peerless. That's a good one. Thousand Autumns was how I found your channel too. It's it makes me happy when people say Thousand Autumns is how they found it, because Thousand Autumns was the opening to my channel. Thousand Autumns to you. Oh, that's a huge. Ooh, that's a huge jump. Whew. Oh my gosh. Also, I think it's funny that you started the MXTX Big Three in the reverse order that they were written. You started with Sanlong, then went to Arga or whatever he calls him. I genuinely do not remember. And then, well, Boabinka. So- and that was like the reverse order of when she wrote them. Oh, I gotta fill in the smooth the curves here. I forgot about you, my love, my sweet. Does anyone talk to themselves often while they're doing whatever the art is? Because I do, unless I have like music or an audiobook playing or a podfic. I'm definitely talking to myself a lot. I'm proud of myself for sticking to neurographic this time, but I do prefer to start neurographic and then divulge into something else. Yes, 100%. I do full blown conversations. Hey. As well as singing to myself, much like I'm doing right now. Also waiting for Princess um, Ayaka to tell us what you're in the mood for so we can maybe give you some recs. He said, I do. I also talk to the art. Oh man, that's a new one. The self narrations. He's like, okay, so now I'm just gonna round out the corner here and then maybe add a little something there. And then, yeah, I do like to narrate too. It's like, in case my brain needed to know exactly what I'm doing, this is what's happening. Just a couple of months ago, I could never have imagined myself drawing with pen, but in this journal, I mostly always use pen. So like pen, 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 pen. Yeah, but it's so freeing as well. So yeah, this isn't neurographic art at all, but I remembered that, oh, let me just draw some random lines shooting from her fingers. And so that's how I got this. And then a butterfly behind her. But yeah, I like drawing in pen because it challenges you to, well, essentially try to get it right the first time. Try to get it right the first time because there's no going back. And that builds confidence, you know? So yeah, it's fun. Yep, everything in here is pen because pen just looks the best on this paper. So, okay. I think I have connected all the lines. I do think I want lines to start. I thought maybe I didn't want lines in here, but I think I do. So I'm gonna do it. Something with humor that's not really dark. Peerless. Attempt number two is looking okay. Yay! I'm glad to hear that. Um, because okay is probably great. And you're just using the word okay. I would say Peerless then, if you're looking for something with humor that's not really dark. Um, and it's by the same author, so you still get that vibe. The way that Monk Sisha writes slash the way that, the specific translator they use translates the work, amazing. Like it's just top tier. You cannot go wrong with Peerless. It's hilarious. I would say it is the funniest Danmei that I have read on my channel. But it still, has some seriousness in there. What's Peerless about? Basically there are two guys, Sui Puchu and Feng Xiao, who work for one, either the emperor or the empress. They have their own like government organizations, if you will, but in ancient China, in which they either collect intel or handle certain issues for the emperor or the empress. And there is a murder that happens and they end up having to work together. um that's not necessarily how it starts, the working together part, but that's how it happens. And it's just an interesting journey of them solving several murder mysteries while also traveling somewhere else to, like, what was it? Create a treaty with another land. And along the way, you have this very Yan Wushi like character, being Feng Xiao, with a cold, so not like Shen Qiao at all, a more cold, clinical character that is Cui Wushi, coming together and challenging each other mentally. Um, Sometimes it'd be hard to give summaries, but I think that's the best I can do. But yeah, the goal, I guess, is to make sure that the Sui dynasty still stays the Sui. Sui, um, whoever the emperor is, to make sure that he stays the emperor. That's the goal. But they have fun adventures along the way. Maybe somebody else can say better than I just did. Mm, Although, if you want not audio, I also want to recommend Dinghai Fushang Records. Ah, Feng Xiao is a peacock. We love him. He is a peacock. Look at me. Look at my wings. Aren't they pretty? And both of them are highly intelligent. I think that's the thing that's awesome. Um, but I love the fact that we get a character who is very intellectual and is not using martial arts as well. Because of course a lot of times in a lot of the wuxia ones or cultivation, we see, these exceptional grandmasters who are great at this, but you have a sickly person who is using their brain as their war strategy or as their battle tactics. It's pretty cool. Just goes to show that the most powerful weapon really is the mouth. A peacock, lol. I'll write both of those titles down, thank you. You're welcome. I can't give you a summary on Ding Hai because I haven't read that one. So me don't know. Okay. Oopsie. Hmm. All right. I'm gonna switch because I just decided to. I want pizza. Y'all, I have a pizza problem. Like, I love pizza so much. And it's not even that I always get pizza, but I always want pizza. Meanwhile, in Dinghai, everyone is both very smart and very dumb at the same time. That's interesting to hear. I love it though. It's like smarty pants, dummy pants. Oops, I missed one. Make it now then, I suppose. I'm trying to. This reminds me of like those field map. I don't know what they are. Field maps that just have like all of these lines within them. All the tiny lines. And you'll witness the most Looney Tunes fight scenes you'll ever witness in a danme. Ooh, that sounds interesting. I will say that's one of the reasons I absolutely love the fight scenes in Peerless and Thousand Autumns. Well, not because they're Looney Tunes, because they're so good. Like for anyone who loves fighting in when they read or when they watch stuff, peak. And I feel like there's more philosophy in Thousand Autumns and then just more straight up fighting in Peerless. So depending on the day, sometimes I like Peerless better for fighting and the other times Thousand Autumns. But don't tell Yan Wushi. Yan Wushi will always want it to be Thousand Autumns. Or not even Thousand Autumns. He'll always want it to be him. Okay. Um these super thin lines. You used to call me your angel. Said I was sent straight down from heaven. You'd hold me close in your arms. Love the way you feel so strong. The fight scenes in Peerless and Thousand Autumns are good for different reasons. Mm, yeah. I'm reading, I'm on volume 2 of Salted Fish. Recording, that is. And it's very interesting. I'm having a hard time with all like the character voicings. I feel like this happens every time. Like even when I was reading Copper Coins, I didn't feel comfortable until literally the last volume, which is kind of like, I mean, very late. But reading Salted Fish is a whole nother level of difficult because of the obvious change that I would have to make in my voice for a certain character. You know what I'm saying? Like that voice won't stay the same. And I kind of don't want it to stay the same throughout because if I feel like if that were the case, then the character would be recognized like right away if the voice was the same every single time, right? So, yeah, volume 3 comes out this Tuesday. I'm gonna go pick it up so I can see the art in person. Salted Fish is so good. I'm really hoping that it turns out to be everything I want it to be and more because it's definitely going in my top 5 list. This period. It's so freaking good. And it's a comfort read even though volume 1 kind of devastated me. I still found a great comfort in it. Mm. Yeah. I think I always find myself wanting to work with smaller lines. But I'm gonna try to put a couple more big lines in here. Just a couple. After I find out where I would do that. And what about here? Okay. All right. And now to curve those out again, since I just did that. Actually, because why not? I'll decide in a second if I want to take that line further. Actually, no. I want to leave it. Something about the asymmetry is getting me. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna regret this, but no regrets. Since I have so many tiny lines, now I'm thinking about making some of them bigger. But I guess that's just my personal process. I like to work smaller, then get bigger. In this specifically. Can't necessarily always do that with like watercolor, I suppose. Sometimes you need to, well, most times actually, you need to start with big brush strokes first and then go in for the details. Did my stomach just growl? It didn't even feel like a, hey, I'm hungry growl, but it definitely growled. Guess that means I need to take a little sippity sip of my. Oh, let me answer this message. No. Yeah. And say this is why I don't like to do more than one thing at once. I'm looking at Meg's. All right, let me see. Ooh, Meg, this is very nice. Before I just go showing things, do you mind if I share it on my screen so that everyone else can see it as well? You said, "Oh no, I'm seeing spots I missed." So you didn't miss anything. You just go back and add. I like to think of it that way. Yeah. But this is beautiful. I love this. And then, okay, here's the next one. You started filling. Ooh, well, that's really cool. The way you filled in this one circle. I know no one can see it yet until you say, okay, yes. Okay. I wish I had Discord on my iPad so I could show it even bigger. But here we go. One second, y'all. And I have to try to show it so where you're not seeing my uh, camera glare. 1 second. Eee! Move camera glare. Okay, here we go. This is Max. Let me just move it temporarily and see what happens. Okay, even there, there's still camera glare. I'm trying to hide it. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Can you guys see that? I love this. And then I think you just, oh, so when I was saying I really love how you filled in that circle, ovally circle actually. Let me come back. I was talking about this one specifically. You'll see what she did in there? Isn't that very nice? Okay, and then let's see what else you send. This is the second one before I do too much. Again, yeah, I don't think you did too much in the first one. I mean, just look at mine. You want to talk about too much? I would say this. I mean, it's not too much. I would say this is too much. This is just fine and could potentially be filled in even more if you want. But honestly, one of the reasons why I also love bringing color into these is because sometimes it's not necessarily about more lines, but just adding in color. Like in this, it's not super, super small lines in every single thing. And then the colors are what really bring it together, you know? So, um, let me turn it sideways. Here's the second thing. Um, okay, there we go. Now the light's out of the way. This is looking really good. I can't help but see things when I look at it, but I'm not gonna say. My brain is so bad. But like I said, I think it just says a lot about, an individual, not like philosophically, but it says a lot about you, what you see when you're looking at art of all kinds, especially like abstract art. And then Liz said that this is great. See? Exactly. You did not need an eraser. I'm gonna point up like yes to this comment because it's so true. What eraser? Who needs an eraser? Yeah, I think this is perfect. So there is like this isn't done. There's clearly more that I need to do because now I think there are some lines I do just want to thicken up. But yeah, this was very relaxing for me, especially with the really, really fine pen. This is 005. The the point on it is very small. Oop, I just marked myself. But this is how tiny it is. So trying to do neurographic art with this is it's very time consuming because of how tiny it is. So I've been using my 08. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna use that to make some bigger lines and all of this. Um, yeah, see, Cookielicious thinks it's awesome too. The thing is, I don't have a small enough pen to do the small details. And that's perfectly fine. You don't need small pens all the time. Just going back to this again, no small, perfectly fine. I guess that was small enough, but still, it doesn't have to be. Like neurographic art could be thick lines, thin lines, or mixture of the two. I was trying to show an example, but I don't really have that. It could be a mixture of the two. So you don't have to worry from that standpoint. Um, and see, Princess likes those. Build in the corners that you missed. Oh, yeah, I like going back and looking and be like, "Oh shoot, I missed some corners." And then bringing them. You said, "Wait, I see more." Wait, what's blocked for you? Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm not look I was that was the wrong chat. Let me go back to the Okay. I'm sorry it's blocked for you. That's weird. Um how intense is your what was it? Your favorite Donmei couple. Yeah, whatever more you see, just go ahead and add it in there. I don't think I'm gonna finish this during our live session. Um, mm, I just feel like this should be thicker. So let's do that. But I feel like this also like helps reveal some tendencies that you might have. So again, because I understand you, Meg, and not wanting to like mess up or make mistakes. I think, and I'm just reflecting now as we're doing this, I think one of the reasons I like to start small is because the smaller it is, I don't know, my brain just computes that with the smaller it is, the less um, visible a quote unquote mistake is. Or if I start with my really, really small, fine lines, then things will be okay. And then when I get to making the bigger lines, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to explain what my brain is thinking. But again, I appreciate this session because, like I said, it can reveal things about yourself. So even while doing this artwork that is not to be judged, I can still feel myself like having made decisions based on not wanting to quote unquote do things wrong or a certain way. So I think that like doing art like this can sometimes just allow you to reflect and going forward, you can also correct depending on what you've discovered in those reflections. So the next time I do some neurographic art, I am going to try to do thicker lines, like even thicker than these, and challenge myself to not be afraid of big lines for whatever reason that my brain is shying away from them. Okay, you say you think it's done. I think it looks good. Are you gonna add color to it, or are you gonna keep it? You said I'm late. Hey, we were talking about you earlier, girl. Um, the only thing I can say is that Liz wants the three of us to have an Instagram chat for the lovely little memes or videos that you send me. But it's okay that you're late. That's perfectly fine. We're still here. I mean, we won't be for much longer, but we are still here, my love. So, have you ever done neurographic art before? If you can answer that, just so I can see if I need to do like a quick run through of everything again. If I photocopy it, maybe. Mm. You say you rewatch. Okay, bet. Are you afraid to add color onto the original? Or do you just want to have a copy of the original and then you're going to still paint or add color onto the original? Thinner line fuck ups are easily covered by thicker lines. So starting small can be advantageous to people who stress about it. Yeah, I think that's where my brain is because I don't always do neurographic art anyway. So yeah, I think my brain is just like the smaller the lines, and it's okay. And then as I go, then I can start, thickening them up I love how we still find ways to, I mean, I'm not stressed, but you get what I'm saying. I love how we still find ways to stress ourselves out when we're supposed to be doing something relaxing, like thinking that we're doing too much or thinking, let me start small just in case I do something stupid looking. Yeah, next time I'm going to challenge myself to go for the bigger lines. Now that I've done this, I need to round those edges out ish. Ba, 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 Barbarin. Ba, 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 Barbarin. Okay. Yes, I am afraid. Okay. Do it scared. I think that's my new motto. Do it scared. Um, but yeah, if you want to take a photocopy of it, that's perfectly fine. Or shoot, even if you just want to say, I mean, we have the image of the original in Discord, and you can still color in your original because it's just a piece of paper, you know, like paper is meant to be written on, to be drawn on, to be dirtied, if you will, to be painted on. Like it's meant for us to do something to it. That was the sole purpose of its creation, was for us to take that blank page and throw some crap on it. So, yeah, my encouragement to you is if you want to, do it scared, do it afraid, because you might just come up with something great anyway. I'm trying to see if I have an example of me doing something when I was afraid, but still doing it anyway. And it turned out great, in my opinion, at least. Um, it might be in my other thingy. Hold on, I'm gonna grab something. I think I have to switch my camera around though. So 1 second. I'm also like appropriately dressed from the torso up, but not necessarily from the torso down. So let's hold on a second. I'm gonna put my like blanket around my my lower body so no one's getting flashed with 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 Mari legs. Okay. Here we go. So I at one point had never done a full sheet of watercolor. I usually always worked on a 9 by 12, which is about this big or smaller. I recently got into, I think 11 by 14, which is essentially this big. And I painted something that I was really afraid of. But when I first started, I was like, oh, this is going to be a great idea. And then after I drew it out, I was like, girl, this was real ambitious of you. Don't you think that maybe you're overestimating your abilities? But I did it anyway. And I'm trying to find it. Is it not in here? Oh, maybe it was in here. Hold on. Oh, wow. Okay. So here is, hold on. I'm going to show you two instances I was afraid but still decided to do it anyway. So the first instance is this. Let me see if I can bring this up just a little bit. I don't know. This. this was something that I was working on. Sorry, this was something that I was working on, and it was originally this me and a rose, and I was trying to do double exposure. But after I did this, I was like, okay, I want to try again and see if I can do it better. And so I always draw my stuff on tracing paper or regular paper, trace over it. That way I don't have to draw something again if I want to paint it again. And so when I did this, I flipped it upside down just to try something else, and I saw my face again, and I was like, oh man, I think it would be really cool if I did two faces of myself. So I did that, and I was like, this is going to be so awesome. And then the next day I looked at it, I was like, girl, that was really ambitious of you. But what exactly are you going to do? Like, don't bite off more than you can chew. But I was like, you know what? I already drew it. So we're just going to go in and do something and see how it goes. So I was very afraid that this was going to turn out awful. And then even when I was painting this face, I actually used a color that I should not have because it was very granulating, and it had like, it was brown, but it had like this reddish undertone that just kind of turned my face really weird looking, and I did not like it. And it took away the shadow, whatever. So I was like, nope, still gonna keep going. And then I came to the bottom and did this face. And instead of having it facing this way, like it was originally, I was like, I think the painting will be better if it's viewed like from the side rather than up and down. And so I did this, very scared, very afraid, imperfections and all, but very, very proud of myself for what I was able to accomplish. Um, Let me see. How pretty. Thank you. Those are gorgeous. Thank you so much. And so, like, even in the midst of fear, you can create something beautiful. I think, like, even when trying something new, we just have to give ourselves more credit than we like to. Especially artists. We are our own worst critics. We are taught to be critical in art before we are before we have to relearn how to be instinctual. Like from the very beginning. Of course, yeah, we draw art and our parents put it on the refrigerator, but then right after that, it's like, oh, you have to do this way, you have to do this that way. And so another instance in which I was afraid was a full sheet. Here we go. This is the size of a full sheet. That's pretty big, right? And I wanted to paint my poo poo and my granny. And so I worked out this idea first on a small piece of paper. Um, yeah, I worked it out first on a small piece of paper to just like get that idea down. And then I decided, okay, I think I'm ready. Scared as hell. Whoop. And here we go. That's the full painting. Very, very first time ever doing a full sheet watercolor painting. And yes, there are imperfections, but I'm very proud of myself because, oops, I pushed myself past the fear and then did something that I believe was truly great. I'm trying to like sit this down a little bit more. Hold on. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. Moving. That was a lot of work. Here we go. Um, but this is my granny, and I wanted to draw her like immersed in flowers. I deliberately took away the hands because I just hate doing hands. And then the background, of course, is just the greenery and everything. Um, but was I afraid? Yes. Did I do it afraid? Yes. Did I create something awesome? I think yes. Um, do I have things to learn? Yes. But I think you should do it afraid, whatever it is. So, um, that is huge. Yes. I absolutely love the double faces and the difference in the color palettes. Yeah. So, like, it was interesting because my original plan for this one was to use the exact same palette, but just like invert the color usage, like where I use specific colors, but I don't know what ended up happening. um so yeah, like I still use the exact same colors, but the intensity of them is just different. And instead of putting a wash of like flesh color essentially over this one, I decided to leave it more pale. So yeah, then I was like, okay, let me look at it from this angle, from this angle, from this angle. And I felt like this was the best way. Like if I were to hang it up, I would present it like this. But yeah, I think you should do it afraid. I know that was a lot, all for a piece of neurographic art. But I just think, yeah, do it afraid. Because it's just a piece of paper. That is what I've been telling myself. Actually, I think I said that in one of my Mari's musings. It's just a piece of paper. It's not sacred. Um, we can go get more. We can take pictures of what we did before as like a memory of what we did before we ruined it, you know? So, um, you said my art is diamond art. There is already the picture. I just fill it with diamonds. And haven't you showed us some of that before? Yeah, I think we've seen it. I think I think we've seen it. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this session, and I hope that it was very helpful for you guys and that you'll start doing more neurographic art. Or even if you don't, just like you do it every now and then, that's totally fine too, because I do it every now and then. Or I start with neurographic and then go into neuro inspired. Um, yes, okay, yeah, I thought I've seen it before because I liked it. Um, Here's another instance of me using ink, which again, I don't know. Like I did paint, of course, but the ink is in there because I'm like, yeah, just scribble, 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 scribble. Wherever it goes, that's fine. Um, Let me see if it will be seen better this way. Hold on. Yeah, that's actually better. So the pen markings. I like to do pen art because it just helps to chisel away at the fear of being imperfect. Um, but yeah, this was really fun. I would love to know. Um, you did. You said yeah. Oh wait, the drawing chose its own colors. Pretty much. But yeah, thank you guys for being here with me. This is really, really fun. Definitely gonna have to figure out some times that we could potentially do like Zoom sessions with each other. And I'm all here for like ideas of other sessions you guys may want to have because again, this is like I don't know, this is new territory for Mari as far as having the art on the channel and moving from doing Danmei, even though all of the Danmei will still be here. Um, oy, 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 oy. So if there are ever any types of art sessions you guys would like to have other than like just watching me do something, That would be that would be cool. You can always comment it or message me or put it in Discord. It's been awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here. Also giving you hugs. Does this look awkward from like hugging you? Get that hug in. But yeah, does anyone have any questions, comments, or anything like that before we head on out, or are we all good to go? I'll give y'all a second to like type those things in. Also, my lovely display of um not art. So this paper is gonna go in the paper shredder. I've been practicing my proportions in portraiture. Okay, I don't see any comments or anything. So yeah. Okay. I love you guys. Well, I hope you have a beautiful day and or night as always. And I will let you all know when we have another session together and what it will be exactly. I will also try to do better about like listing what you actually need because I think I did that in one of my videos, but it was a non-live video and I had like a materials used list. But for any art sessions that maybe we're doing something specific, then I'll try to make sure like in the description it says what you need to bring along with you. You'll be sharing your third one. Ooh. See, look, Meg is all in. Meg is like, can't stop me now. Got that pen. I'm super excited to see it though. So yeah, y'all have a beautiful day. Meg, I can't wait to see yours. I can't wait to see everyone else's. Suki, I hope you enjoyed the rewatch. And yeah, have fun. Time for me to see what's happening with my godson, or so well, I Can I end it here? Oh wait, no, I should probably end it.